I'd like to understand a little bit more about how you transitioned into this being. I don't want to use the word career because I don't think that it's a
Yeah,
career, but
right.
there's
Yeah.
definitely a calling around it. And when did you get to the point where you realized that there was a calling with this?
I fought that for 10 years
Hmm.
through this seeking knowledge. So there was lots of different ways I obtained the knowledge, and some of it was sitting in a group because my son was invited to join a group, but he was 11 years old, and normally you have to be an adult to join these type of groups. So I had to go with him.
Uh,
So I was sort of pulled into it, and I didn't have, it wasn't a choice. And through that process, we would have to do exercises and practice and this type of thing. And then one day, after many, many years, my teacher said to me, "Oh, would you like to do what's called reading?" And I'm like, "No, not in the slightest. That is not why I joined this group. I joined for my son. No, 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 no." Everyone else was yes. There was a lot of, trying to manipulate and like, "Oh, go on, do it, all this kind of stuff." I'm like, "No." And she said, "Well, I'll ring you when we organize this day." And I said, "Okay, well, you can ring me all you like. I'm still saying no."
yeah.
And she rang me, and I really don't know. There was obviously a malfunction between my brain and my mouth, because what came out of my mouth was yes. And so I said, "Well, I'll go, but I'm only going to do one practice reading." I turned up and there was a full day of readings.
Oh
And I'm
my
like,
gosh.
wow. Anyway, I had a little stamp of the feet, like, this is not what I said I was going to do.
Yeah.
Did it. And at the end, and I had quite a scope of um, people to read for from all different ages, and some were hard, some were easy. And at the end of it, I was like, I see why people do this now. I understand.
Yeah.
And so I gently stepped into it. I was a career woman. I had my own business. So it was not, once again, not something that I was interested in doing as a job, or because that's what people call it, or work.
Yeah.
But as you said, it's not. Um, but the more I did it, the more I could feel the pull. And the interesting thing is, I had this business that I loved, and I was really successful at, and it was my passion. I could work, 20 hours a day into this business.
What was the business?
It was an online perfume
Oh,
retailer,
very cool.
and I just loved it. And but what I noticed was, all of a sudden, it was almost like was taken out of my hands and the universe took over. And it went from being exceptionally successful to just not as many clients, just not as many customers. And it was like the universe was making space for me to have time to do more readings and spend more time on this spiritual side of myself. And then it just got to a point where I thought, I'm just going to give it a go.
Yeah.
And I still didn't trust myself, so I didn't sell my business. I just shelved it in case it didn't work out. I thought, I'll just, if it doesn't work out and I don't like it, I'll just start again. Um, and I just said yes, and then just kept going and going. And now it's got that passion that I had in the other business, but it's for different reasons.
Yeah.
And the reason why it is a calling is because of how it's not work. It is who you are, first and foremost. It is also what your life is, because it is that you can't just turn it on and off. You can control it so you don't get, overwhelmed by energy and things like this. But
Yeah.
it is such a big part of who you are when you say yes to it, is why it's not a job, it's not work. And also, it's not easy. And there's
No.
a whole other side to this, that if people realized, they would never call it a job and they would never call it work,
Yeah.
because there is a lot of aspects of it that are not fabulous.